Hi, I'm Cam Benty.
And I'm Jeff Souter. Cars Undercover is the newest reality car show.
Cars Undercover takes you to unknown car collections throughout the United States, showing you fascinating collections, interesting people, and telling you some amazing stories. If you ever plan to travel west, take the highway that's the best, and a classic 62 Corvette. Our vehicle of choice for our undercover car collection tour was this 62 Roman red Corvette. Our first destination on the map? Oxnard, California. Industrial complexes such as this exist all over the U.S., but you really never know what's inside them because they just look like big gray boxes. Little name on the front, not much information. Well, this one in particular says vintage on the front, and it houses the personal collection of Otis Chandler. Over 20 years ago, Otis Chandler created this facility to store some of his most highly prized possessions. Lately, it's been open to the public only 2 or 3 times a year. Sadly, Otis Chandler passed away in February 2006, leaving behind an amazing legacy. Best known as the innovative publisher for the LA Times from 1960 through 1980, Chandler was quite the entrepreneur, growing the publication into one of the most respected newspapers in the world. During his time at the helm, the LA Times earned 7 Pulitzer Prizes. Chandler was not only an amazingly successful businessman, he was an excellent athlete and big game hunter, often taking lengthy excursions to Africa. His trophy collection was one of the most impressive in the world. But the trophies we care about are Chandler's car collection. Over the past 20 years, he's had the cream of the automotive crop. Let's take you on a tour of some of the highlights. Otis Chandler was a collector of fine things, none finer than this 1931 Duesenberg LeBaron. Bob Mosier is charged with taking care of Otis's collection. Bob, can you tell us a little something about this particular LeBaron?
Well, this is a J series Duesenberg. The earlier Duesenbergs were a single overhead cam straight 8, and the J series came out in '29, and they were twin overhead cam, 4 valves per cylinder, cross flow engine. In much the same configuration as we have today.
Way ahead of its time.
Very, very advanced. And Duesenberg walked that fine line. They had a very sort of historical racing image, and yet they were known for very luxurious and, as you can see, elaborate bodies.
And some amazingly innovative technology. Things like thermostatically controlled shutters on the radiator that opened up as the engine got warm to allow more air to flow through. Some amazingly interesting engineering efforts in that regard. But to get back to the situation in terms of cost, a vehicle that sold for $20,000 at a time in 1931 during the Depression, an amazing contrast. A vehicle similar to that, we're talking about, say, a run-of-the-mill Mustang compared to that Model A, excuse me. Today, a vehicle of this caliber would have to sell for $2 million?
Yeah, or more.
This car right here, top speed's 205 miles an hour, 0 to 100 miles an hour in 7 seconds flat. Well, I heard too that Porsche tells all the owners of this not to even, you can't drive this car over a speed bump because of the way the frame's configured.
Yeah, I'm sure that's right. It's very, very low.
You don't mind if Cam and I borrow it for lunch, do you?
Yeah, no, of course
Really?
not.
Okay. So this is a 73 RS. This is probably more of the classic Porsche. Only 210 horsepower. What can you tell me about it? And
well, I think
wasn't
most
this
of the
only
RSs
color
were
it
sold
came
as
in?
race cars.
I think only available in this color, in this combination.
Otis had a long history of Porsches. He had 917s, he had
the Race of Champions was originally in these cars, in these
IROC,
Porsche
yeah.
RS, IROC. Yeah,
Definitely, they
the
definitely
first
ran
several
Porsches.
seasons of IROC was in these RS cars. You know, the contrast between this car and the V10 is pretty dramatic in that This is back when the car would scare you before you're in trouble.
Well, I really appreciate everything. I appreciate the tour, Bob.
Sure.
And if you just give me the keys to that, I'll be out of your hair.
No problem. I'll get them in just a minute.
All right.
If there is a special footnote to today's visit, it is that by the time you see this show, the Chandler collection will have been separated. All told, the collection sold for a record $36 million. Thanks to special access granted by Bettina, Otis's wife, we've been allowed to get perhaps the last tour of the collection.